All right. Early this morning I opened up my eyes, peered into the mirror and was met with no surprise. Saw the same face as yesterday staring back at me, but something made me take another peek. This time looking in the mirror I saw a little clearer. There's more to me than meets the naked eye. I am a pond, and I am fond of knowing there's a lot of growing going on inside my hide. I am a pond, a balanced ecosystem, much more complicated than I ever knew. Hi friends, Steve Yulberg here for Neon Rainbow, the live class of Singing with Our Guitars. It's exciting to be with you today, and we are moving to a new place. We have talked about the posture and the breathing and the exercises for that. We've talked about the shaping of our tone, and actually we're going to draw on some of that today. We've talked about using capos to move the songs around so they fit with our vocal range. We've used our guitar to figure out how to find our vocal range. And now it's time for us, and we simplified arrangements. That's the other thing, which is really important, because when we're trying to do too many things at once is when we really get ourselves stuck, isn't it? And today what we're going to do is talk about enunciation, which is the practice of making sure that what we say and sing is clear and able to be understood. Singing, of course, is about expression and emotion, and we don't want the clarity of what we're singing to get in the way, but we also don't want our emotion to make the words impossible to understand. So we can say, I can see the bathroom on the right, or, the famous misheard lyrics. Harmony and me in our photo pharmacy is what I heard when Elton John was singing Harmony and Me in Our Boat Upon the Sea, because there were not too many. There were not enough consonants. And I was just listening to Crocodile Rock as I went to the mailbox today, and it was try crocodile rockin'. That's hard. Try crocodile rockin' when they're stomping and shouting, and your feet just can't keep still. Never knew me a better time, and I guess I never will. Oh, Lordy mommy, Lordy more, Lordy, Friday night Susie woman gets uptight. Crocodile rockin' is out of sight. That trying to figure out what all those words were was a really challenging thing. So it's fun. It was the 70s. There's been a lot of different styles that have come and gone. But if you listen to rap music, for one thing, as people are doing this fast speech stuff, there has to be articulation in order for you to understand what's being said. And especially if there's a message involved. If it's just a ooh baby baby, we want to do the feeling. But if there's a message involved, then getting done with the song and everybody scratches their head and says, huh? Is not probably the result we want. This song that I sang is one we're going to look at later, but I Am a Pond was the curriculum that the director of a youth camp wrote for Oregon, Illinois, a place that sounds like it doesn't know where it's supposed to be. But there are Oregons, not just in Oregon, Illinois, Oregon, Ohio. I grew up not too far from Oregon, Ohio. In fact, that's where Jamie Farr was from Klinger, Corporal Klinger. Tony Pacos is in Oregon. He would always talk about Tony Pacos. Anyway, that's side thing. So his curriculum this year was The Human Body as an Ecosystem. The short title is I Am a Pond. I Am a Pond. Well, that just sounded musical to me, and I made that the hook of the theme song that I wrote for him that year. I wrote some other theme songs for him after that. It became one of those partnerships. It was really good. He'd have a theme, and it's like, oh, that's good. Here's a theme song you all can use, and it was work for me. It was something that was beneficial for them. But it also meant because this was a really wordy song that I had to figure out how to say everything clearly and fast. That needs the two things that create the sounds that are the words that we have: vowels and consonants. Vowels are all the things that we sing on. We talked about those before, but you can name them. A, E, I, O, U, A, E, I, O, U. We talked about those a few weeks ago. But what I'd like us to do today, if our team can pull up the intervals, vowels and consonants, some of those vowels are two-syllable vowels. So the only one-syllable vowels are U and E. E has only got one sound in it. U has only got one sound in it. But A, if we do the vowels in order, A, E, I, O, U, A, E, I, the I sound with an E at the end is the letter I. A, E, I, O. At the end of the O, we close down to an U, and then U. And then A is a single syllable, the short letters, A, E, I, O, U. And so what I have done for you is given you some exercises that use the different vowel sounds so that you can practice being aware of them. It can feel very silly as we do them, but it's also very useful. And I've put them together so you can use your guitar as your assistant as you're doing these. The other thing we want to pay attention to is the consonants. So they are, going through the English alphabet, B, K, D, F, G, H, J, L, K, M, N, P, Q, R, S, T, V, W, X, Z. All of those are the different letters of the alphabet that are not vowels, and they can be interchangeable. So if we can pull up the first file, that would be most helpful. So what I've got here first in the long/short intervals, vowels, and consonants is I'm using the long vowels. A, E, A, A, E, I, E, I, O, O, A, yeah, E, O, U. Now, this may or may not be the best scale for you because of the range that you are in. But if that's the case, what I suggest you do is put a capo on. So say that was too high. A, E, I, O, O. I've got to see it here. O, 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 A, E, A, U. A, I, O, O, A, E, A, U. Now that gets kind of low for me. So I might move somewhere in here. That's a little high for me too. So for me, using the capo, it puts it out of my range. For you, if you go high enough, it might bring it back into your range at the bottom. But what we're doing is a stair-step exercise that we've talked about for guitars before. And I've put all the vowels in here so that we can keep track of them. If you have one vowel that is your favorite and you want to do the exercise with that, then I suggest you do that. If you have one vowel that you find that's hardest, that's the one I think you should look at. Now, as we do this, A, I, O, those are all end on the E sound or the oo sound, which are the ones that are easier to sing and to hold for a long time. Hard syllable to sing on. Ah can work. I, hard syllable to sing on. And then we end on oo. So as we're doing this, that's what I want you to pay attention to. Which one of these are the ones that feel like, yep, this is in my pocket. I can do these. I don't even have to think about them. And which ones are kind of like, that's a bit of a challenge for me. I think I need some more work on that. And there are no consonants in this part of the exercise. All we're doing is using the long vowels first and then the short vowels as we go up. And you can see that as you're going up, singing in the higher part of your register, it's a little hard to keep in tune, have enough air moving, and keep the sound to be the sound you want. There's a lot going on here. And so what we're doing is breaking it down into the little pieces behind the communication that we talked about earlier. We're going to get to that part later. Let's do this with me, would you? If you're struggling with the guitar part and you want to do that later, that's fine. If there's somebody else in the room and you're afraid of singing because you don't want them to hear you, give them the noise-canceling headphones. No, I know exactly what that's like when you're trying to do something and you're just aware that someone else is in the house and you know that they're hearing what you're doing. It can be very intimidating. So it may be that right now you just want to do the guitar part, or you want to do it softy. A, A, I, O, A, E, O. Now I always say what goes up must come down, and that's what the next exercise is, the long/short down. A, A, I, O, A, E, And this way you get to do the short vowels in the higher part of the range, and at the lower part of the range. You get to do the long vowels at the lower part of the range and at the higher part of the range. Now, if you have any questions about these exercises, how to play them, how to sing them, why to do that, feel free to just ask to type your question in, and we'll address that. But it's worthwhile taking a step back from a song sometimes to pay attention to these things that we have been using. These tools we've been using since we were first able to make sound. When we said ba, 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 and I'm choosing that consonant on purpose. I work with children, and across the world, for some reason, ba and ma are the often, in whatever language, the first sounds that infants make. Ba, ma, ba, ma. So the ah syllable is one of those first ones that tends to happen. And the ba is a lot easier to do because you close your mouth. It's a labial because it uses your lips. Ba, ba. You build up pressure behind it. Ba, pa. P is also one of those kinds of sounds. Ba, pa. Now, if I say ta, or za, or la, or let's see, ka is a different place, but all of these are lingual sounds because lingue, the tongue, is how the sound is produced. We're either putting the tongue behind our teeth for ta, and L, where la, the tongue is behind our teeth, the front teeth, as we go la, ta, da. Those are all similar in our sound production. And then tsa, the Z sound, tsa, tsa. We're still doing it, but it's kind of a combination of the building up of the the breath while we za, za. That's part of how that one's put together. Then the other linguals, which are back further in your mouth, are the ka, the hard C, and the K. Ka. It's you hump your tongue. It's against the top of the roof of your mouth. Ka, ka, and that's where we also get ja, ja. It uses it a little bit different, the J sound or the soft G, ja, ja. R, those unusual ones, it's way back in the throat. Unless you're in Spanish, and then it's ra, ra. It's the tongue bouncing against the top of your mouth. Ra. If it's German, it's ra. It's having your tongue bounce, but way back in your throat. Ra, 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 ra. Or ar, piratey, ar, which tends to be certain parts of the American accent have that r. And other places in the world, people say ah. It sounds like the vowel sound ah for their r's, especially when they're singing. And then there's sibilants, which are ones that are made by s, the s sound, the x, the x and the s. Let's see, what other ones do we have in there? Fa, fa, ba, fa. Fa is kind of like the labials because you're using your lip, but you're building up the sound like you would for, well, it's like you build up the air. Fa, fa, fa. It's your teeth on your lip. Fa, fa. And that's where v comes from. Fa and v are very similar to each other. Qua, qua is your tongue in the back, and then qua, qua. It's a unique case. But just think about all the different things that you know how to do in order to make all of these sounds. There are peculiarities about the way you've learned to do these, which makes your voice the parts of the signature of your voice. But I could do quay, quay, quai, quai, quo, quo, qua, qua, que, que, qui, qui, qua, qua, quoo. And I could go, we did la last time. Let's do J, J, Jai, Jai, Jo, Jo, Ja, 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 J, J, Ja, Ja, Jo. I can practice using these exercises by putting a consonant on the front of it. Okay, now let's go further down on the page. We want to now, in that, each one we stayed in the same measure twice, but now we're going to go faster, and we're going to change the consonant faster. This is measure 17. A, E, I, O, A, E, U. So we're doing A, E, I, O, and then A, E, U. And we're only doing one of each. A, E, I, O, A, E, U. Coming down, which is measure 21. A, E, I, O, A, E, U. Let's do that again. I, E, sorry, A, I want. A, E, I, O, A, E, U. A, E, I, O, A, E, U. Now you might find that very confusing right now, as you saw that I was being tripped up, which just means this is a good exercise to use because we took what was going on in the first ones and that was stretched out and compressed it. The time to work on these 17 to 21 is when those first ones are starting to get boring and tiring. It's like, is this all there is? Exercises have that capacity to do because they're designed to do that. We want them to become boring because that means we've internalized them. Now, that is where we start at the bottom of the scale and we skip our steps going all the way up. For this next set of exercises on page 2, if we could have page 2 put up, what we're going to look at is starting in the middle of the scale and just going up by a step. Ba, 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 ba. And now we are looking at intervals. So before we're looking at different intervals. The first time we were doing a thirds as we went up, all the way up and down. Now we are looking at intervals that are first unison in the first measure. Measure 26, it's a second. Measure 27, it's a third. And measure 28 is a fourth. Here comes the bride, here comes the bride. That perfect fourth is one that's how I always know what the interval is. Almost everybody I know can sing Here Comes the Bride. Here comes the bride. Ba 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 ba. Now we're going to come down in the next line at measure 29 using a different vowel or same vowel sound. We're going to use a different consonant. It's going to be da. Da 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 da. Now, these are the kinds of things, let me just step back for a minute. People often ask me, how do I sing in tune better? This is what I recommend. The more comfortable I am singing the intervals with just the support of my guitar helps me center in on the pitch, and that helps me. I've got my guitar helping to play what I'm doing so I can match that pitch. Some of us have trouble matching pitches in the air or keeping in the same key in the air. But when I have this pitch-centric thing here, which is my root, and like my touchstone, I'm going back to touch the tree all the time to find out, am I in tune? This is the way to do that. So we've used ba and da. Obviously, these could be all, you could use this exercise, these two lines at the top of the page, you can use these with all of the different vowel sounds, all of the different consonant sounds. And you might make yourself a little scorecard and say, you know, ba was easy. Okay, we do have a couple of questions. What's the best warm-ups for these vowel sounds? I believe I'm giving them to you right here. These are, there are other vowel sounds that there are other exercises that people do, and if you've been in choirs, you've sung a lot of exercises. And this, what I'm doing here, is more for people who are having some struggle keeping in tune as they do the sounds. The second question, how do I apply these sounds to my favorite songs, we're going to get to in a little bit. So hang on to that question. That's a good one too. So if we go through these top two exercises with all the vowels and all the consonant sounds as well. Then 33 and 37, those third and fourth lines on page 2. Sa 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 sa. Some people really struggle with their S sound. Some people have like almost a lisp with that. Some people have they're never quite sure where to put the S in the sound and how long to hold on and when to let go of it. And I'm talking about initial consonants right now, not the ones that end the letter, the words. I'm talking about the ones that start the words. And so one of the things we talked about before is doing this in a mirror so you can watch your face as you do these exercises. You could print this exercise out, tape it up to the mirror, and take your guitar and sing and play while you're watching yourself in the mirror, and notice what's going on with your mouth. what are you doing with your head? You know, are you reaching like this? Notice all those kind of things. Keep track of that. The other thing you can do is a self-tape where or a recording where the video is most helpful as you're trying to observe what's going on as you do the exercise. In the chat, in the live Q&A, you can, where you would type, you can click on the camera and you have a choice of going live or making a recording. And then if you make a recording, you can come and show me. I'll be live tomorrow again from my normal time on Thursday mornings. Pacific time, it's 7 to 9. Mountain time, it's 8 to 10. Central time, it's 9 to 11. Eastern time, 10 to 12. But you can record it and then share that with me if you would like to. You don't have to share it with anybody. You can just keep it for yourself. But sometimes people like to share what they're working on and get an outside, you know, an over-the-shoulder look. So what we've done here is do seconds going down. The interval of a second. Sa, 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 sa. This is line, measure 33, the third line. Sa, 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 sa. 37 is the intervals going backwards, so it's first to fourth. Quack, 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 quack. Now the ah sound is not a hard vowel sound to hold. So that's why I'm giving you these vowels right here. Ah, O, the ah and the oo and the e are the easiest ones to hold pitches on. Now let's look at 42. T T T T T T T T T T T T T T T. Now I'm doing all the intervals, and this is where it gets tricky. The first ones, sometimes the second is a difficult one. T T T T T T T T. That's what we've been doing so far, is all those thirds. Then the Here Comes the Bride, T T T T, and then the Twinkle 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 Little Star, and the My Bonnie lies over the ocean. Ba 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 ba, sixth, and then ba 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 ba. There's a place for us somewhere over the rainbow. That interval is a hard one to hear for a lot of people. It's a hard one to be accurate, and it's really cool. And then finally the octave. Bum, 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 bum. The reason I started on the fifth is a lot of us can hear the fifth when we can't hear anything else. In fact, children, as they're singing, learn to hear the fifth. If they can't find it in their range, they'll often sing there. And if you find that when you're trying to sing a song and it goes out of your range and it sounds, I'm really not on, you're probably singing the fifth in relation to that. And when those two sound the same, they can sound really awkward as harmonies, but it's all part of the same scale system. Now if you go down to the bottom of the page, number 51 and the 55, yay, 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 yay. So we're doing one octave, 8 steps. We're doing all the intervals. We start at the bottom and went stair step up and then came back down. We started, and we did that over several measures, and then we did it faster. Then we started in the middle of the scale and just did all the notes up to do and back down. Then we started the middle scale and did all the notes down to do and back up. And now we're starting at the bottom at do and doing all the intervals. The stuff that starts in the middle, we only have 4 steps. When we're starting at the bottom or the top, we have 8 steps that we're moving through. So that's the explanation. If you have further questions about what's going on here or how to use this, or you're just thinking to yourself, I'm never going to do this. And then you want to ask somebody, how can I get better at this? I want this little voice, my voice, to be in your ear saying, I know how I could get better at this. I could do the thing that I put away. I put it in my folder. It's still there. sometimes it's overwhelming to pay this much attention to things. And then there are times when you're ready for it. So if you're not ready for it at this moment, that's okay. But know that these things are always here, and exercises are exercises because they help us do what we want to do. Now, how do I apply these sounds to my favorite songs? This is where recording yourself as you're playing can help you see when someone is playing There's More Than a Feeling. What are they singing? There's more. There's an R in there. That's a weird one. Fee. That's really powerful. Ing. Eh. But when you put the N in it, it's like you get feeling. And you get to hum on that N a little bit. Those are very similar in your placement in your mouth. There's more than a feeling. Maybe there's not going to be a G. It's just going to be IN, because that's what the of the music is. People sometimes, I know that was difficult when I was growing up in the 60s and 70s, because popular music was almost bound and determined not to ever use closing consonants. So there was no feeling, it was feelin'. There was no doing, there was doin'. There was no something, except for when George Harrison sang it. There's something in the way she moves, attracts me like no other lover. Something in the way she moves. That ing kind of thing was really important. So your favorite singers, I have been spending all this time trying to figure out what helps them sing in tune. Are there vowel sounds that help them sing in tune? That's where they want to focus their attention. When they're writing songs, they try not to end a lyric, a phrase, on a difficult to sing vowel. They will work the words around until they can hold it on something that feels good to sing, that sounds in pitch, is easier to sing. And there's a reason for that, because if you can sing along because they've made those choices, then you're more likely to like their music and to buy their music and to learn to play their music. So there's a lot going on in the preparation for singing. Country music is another place. Chasing that neon rainbow. It's not chasing that neon rainbow. It's chasing that neon rainbow. But chasing, we know that they weren't talking about someone who was told they aren't doing it right. I'm chasing that neon rainbow. Because we understand the genre and what it's doing. So my favorite songs, I need to know what genre are they in. If it's a screamo or an emo or a metal where there's a lot of, it's about raw emotion, then these techniques are the kind of things that can help you save your voice as you're singing that, so you don't hurt your voice and create nodes or create other problems for your vocal cords, in which case then your voice is just gone. When my son and his friends got all excited about the music of my youth, when they were starting to be teenagers, it was this fascinating thing. All of a sudden, he and his friends were all taking guitar lessons with me, and they wanted to learn the songs that I grew up with. It's like, wow, this is so interesting and so amazing. But they started listening to, why does Dream On work? Dream on, dream on. It's not draw mean, draw mean. To have that vowel sound, draw mean, dream on, dream on. When they were writing the song, the vowel sound of dream on, it just sings easier. And so when you're thinking about the songs that you like to sing, listen to what's being sung, pay attention, you become a very informed listener. Pay attention to what's being sung and how it's being sung, because that's going to be the clues that will help you as you're trying to sing. Now, I said trying, and I had a decision to make because I've been thinking in this place, and I thought maybe I should say tryin instead of trying. that's a choice I made on the fly. And all I'm doing is asking you, as you're listening to the songs that you like to listen to the choices that your favorite singers are making, and then decide, are those the same choices you want to make? As I was growing up, I was being taught how to speak properly so that I could be heard and understood. I was taught to sing in the same way, and I was listening to music that broke all those rules. And I was listening, of course, on the football team and everywhere else that I was to all my friends, and me and my friends, we were all talking the way we wanted to, which is not the way we were being taught in school. We were learning to be bi or trilingual in that way. And that's what's happening here. We're just trying to take those skills and put them into our singing. Now, so that's a little bit how do I apply these sounds to my favorite songs. But I want to also now pay attention to the consonants that need to be there when we're singing. So if we could pull up I am a pond, this is going to go fairly fast because it takes 2 pages. It's one of my recording producer and engineer when I was creating these. This recording, this is on my Soaring recording from 2001. He said, now there I said 2000, not 2001, 2001, and you understood me. Soaring was released in 2001, and he called it one of my mouthful of words songs. It's a bluegrass style. Early this morning I opened up my eyes, peered into the mirror and was met with no surprise. Saw the same face as yesterday staring back at me, but something made me take another peek. This time mirror I saw a little clearer. There's more to me than meets the naked eye. I am a pond, and I am fond of knowing there's a lot of growing going on inside my hide. I am a pond, a balanced ecosystem, much more complicated than I ever knew. Now I'm going to stop because that took us to all the way through the 3rd page. There's a lot of words in there. And one of the things I discovered is when I would sing this live, I always ask the audience to sing back to me, I am a pond, I am a pond. And if I don't say pond, I am a pond, a lot of them think I'm singing I'm a pawn, or I'm a pawn, which then they think means I'm a pawn. And, you know, there's lots of ways in our lives that we feel like we're a pawn, like on the chessboard, the expendable character. You start the game, but then after that, nobody really cares about you. You know, you can take a king if the king's stupid enough to come next to you, but most likely the king's going to take you. So that's not the message of this song at all. The whole message is I'm a pond. The human body as an ecosystem is as diverse as a pond. So we're looking at this macro thing from a micro perspective. So I want to make sure people understand the word I'm saying. So that's why I have to be very clear in key things. From the tip of my toes to the top of what used to be my hair. Now that's not written in there. When I wrote this song, I had some hair. So it seems silly to say from the tip of my toes to the top of my hair when it's obvious I don't have any. And as I'm doing it, I'm making people look at my head. And so if I stick that in, it becomes a comic relief thing, and that helps people sing later. But I have to get a lot of words in a short space, so I have to be very clear in my enunciation. From the tip of my toes to the top of what used to be my hair, I was a dangerous ecosystem. I said ecosystem in the first place, and now I'm doing a play on that word. I have to be very clear that this is egosystem. So I have to pronounce that very clearly. And there's a lot of words. I was a dangerous ecosystem living blithely unaware. From this gift of revelation, it now is clear to me, I hurt you if I care nothing much for me. In the community of me and the communion of we, I care deeply how every portion fares. Fares? That's not a normal word that's going to be there, but it as an internal rhyme with cares. I care deeply how each portion fares, and I have to make sure that that's clear, otherwise it's a wasted word and wasted syllable. I am a pond, and I am fond of knowing there's a lot of growing going on inside my hide. If I don't say hide, hi, that's a confusing thing. I am a pond, a balanced ecosystem, much more complicated than I ever knew. Now we're going to the bridge, to the bacteria, a cafeteria. To these creatures munching on, without these creatures munching on my food, I never could survive. And uninvited invaders try to crash my swimming party, so my jeans can't swim alone in their pool. Although I've got a firm quota, I don't blame them, and iota inside me is where it's at. I'm a happening habitat. I am a pond, and I am fond of knowing there's a lot of growing going on inside my hide. I am a pond, a balanced ecosystem, much more complicated than I ever knew. If I was to be a city, more teeming I would be than Tokyo, Beijing, Bombay, or LA. It takes cooperation to keep us all alive, so we're busier than the bees working in their hive. This construction I pondered, to my maker offer wonder, for I'm sure that some assembly was required. This is also a song that challenges you on your breath support, because almost everything is going out. There's not a lot of time to get your breaths in. So there are a couple new questions. Is there such thing as a wrong choice when choosing how to enunciate? The answer, well, of course, someone's going to think there's a right and a wrong way. If they don't understand what you are saying, then if your goal was understanding, then it wasn't enunciated properly. If they were hung up on the wrong thing, it could be the way the song is written so that the cadence doesn't fall with the music. And sometimes the song is written that way on purpose. In fact, that's the ethos of current singer-songwriters, to fit a whole bunch of syllables in where there really isn't musical room, or to accent unusually accented syllables. There's something about that makes it sound less prose-like, more poetic, and it makes the song hooky. And if your goal is to make the song something that grabs people's attention and you know, it's like Velcro in their brain, and they want to sing it, sometimes the unusual enunciation, the unusual accent, the unusual vowel sound is the thing that makes them want to sing it. It's a pet peeve of mine right now, and I talked with this with my daughter all the time because she'll do it. There's a lot of people who, when they say me, they're singing may, or my instead of me, and they're not doing the vowel sound for a. Actually, they're doing the vowel sound for I, my, and for me it's confusing because I'm trying to sort through what does this mean, and they're saying it's fun to say, so I'm going to say it. And other people say it because it's unusual. They like it. And that's not how people speak, but it is how some people sing. And it becomes then the thing, and all of a sudden everybody imitates that thing. That's my pet peeve, is when people now, I'm going to write that because they did it, and I want to sound like that. I want to get that attention in my songs. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just a peeve of mine. It's a personal thing. Sometimes you can over enunciate, and all we hear is that you are trying to enunciate. Next week, I'm going to have some tongue twisters for us to help work through being able to do that and practice. But those are for next week. They're not for this week. And the supplemental information that I'm giving you is also something you can download and work with after the class is over, or if you're coming to this in an archive later. Another place where it can be really tricky is where you have a consonant that ends a word and the next consonant has difficulty with each other, or the next one is a vowel. So fond of, it sounds like I could be saying fond of, I'm fond of this, or fond of. That could be elided. When you elide two syllables, you push them together so there's actually no space between them. Fond of knowing. So it sounds like I said fond, knowing. I'm fond of knowing. If it's a singer's trick to elide some syllables to make it easier to sing and help you understand what I'm singing. But the qualitative judgment, if it's right or wrong, is going to be based on a lot of personal criteria or subjective criteria. That's what I want to say. I think there's another question now. What's the most challenging aspect of practicing like this? For me, the challenge with the intervals and the vowels and the consonants is boredom. I can easily get bored because I want to really get to the thing. It takes time to do this. And so sometimes I need to be in the right frame of mind, which means the frame of mind that I need to be in is like I'm swimming laps right now. That's the physical exercise that I prefer to do. I do other things, but lap swimming is my preferred one. And when I first get in the water, I have to think about breathing. I have to stretch and I have to do all these things, and the water's cold almost always. And so I'm dealing with the shivering and my goggles. I'm focused on all these little details that then become the things I don't think about anymore because I'm focusing on my stroke. And after a while, I stop focusing on my stroke and I start counting the different lengths I do, which total up the laps I do so that I can keep track of how long I've been in the pool. And then I'm monitoring myself as I'm doing it. Is this feeling smooth? Is there a hitch in my shoulder, in my elbow? What's going on? How's my breathing going? Am I feeling like I'm in good rhythm, good form with the front crawl, with the back crawl? Am I going straight, or am I banging into the buoy things on the side? Because that's one of my challenges. The breaststroke, what's the rhythm like? Am I getting up high enough in between? Am I arching my back and getting my body up out? When I'm doing the butterfly, am I getting a good S with my body? Are my arms really reaching all the way out, or are they just barely skimming the water? There's all those things that I'm constantly monitoring when I'm swimming. It's the same kind of monitoring that's going on when I'm singing. The goal in the end is, can I do my 30-some laps and do them within the time frame I'm allotted? Can I feel energized when I'm done? That's what I have to, when I'm getting ready to do this kind of work, the intervals, vowels, and consonants with a song, with music, I have to put myself into that place. Okay, this is exercise. I'm at the gym. I'm in the pool. So I have to get my mental framework up, and then I might want to keep a scorecard next to this. This I did. How many times am I going to do the exercise? We've talked about repetition being very important. What if I do this, just these first two lines, what if I do it 10 times? Now, it might be that after I'm doing it 10 times, I find I'm really fatigued and it's my pitches. And I might need to adjust my capo. I'm still going to play away from the capo, the same fret numbers that are here. It's going to sound different. So that I can focus on the consonants and the vowels, I'm going to put this in a place in my voice where it is natural, not a place where I'm straining to get everything, but I'm only going an octave or one above an octave in the first exercise and one below an octave in the second exercise. When I come down, I'm creating awareness about what I'm doing that isn't there, and sometimes that can be just frightening. There is also a file management issue that can happen. If I'm recording, where do the recordings go when I'm done? If it's on my phone, then is my phone filling up? Where have I named these recordings so I know which day? A lot of recording programs put a timestamp on, a date and a timestamp, so you can organize by, this was at the beginning of this course, now 10 weeks later, this is what it sounds like. I'm going to spend a month doing this. I'm going to spend 1 week doing this. This is my Sunday, this is my Monday, and then next week, I'm going to just, and I record myself every day, and then I look from the beginning to the end to see where's the progress happening. That's the challenging aspect, is organizing myself so I can actually practice. I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. So that was a COVID-19 quarantine safe sneeze. It's not going to bother you. It's just going to expel whatever's in there into my elbow. It's what I teach children to do all the time. They don't always do it. Sometimes they walk over and smile at me and smile and sneeze in my face. That's children. And Brian, the other piece of this is it can feel like it's not fun anymore. And that's always a balance for me. My dad took me golfing with him when I was a child. Dad liked golfing. I didn't like golfing, so I went with him. And he said, one of the things Jack Nicklaus said, if you want somebody to like golfing, you got to let them chase frogs sometimes. Because you're out in nature, you see all this wonderful stuff. They get to the pond. So one of the things Dad let me do is fish the balls out of the pond. So that was part of my favorite part of the activity, because I was going to lose balls on the course. So at the end, other people are counting up their score of how many strokes. I knew that was going to be like, I need a calculator to do this. I could keep track of, I lost 3 balls, I found 5. I'm ahead. And that was my way of that, making that activity enjoyable for me. I was looking for the reward that came with it. So I think you have to set yourself up to get the rewards. Give yourself the rewards. Set yourself up to keep track of what you're doing. Find out, the other challenge is when you find out which is the vowel that's the hardest to hold in tune or the hardest to sound, that's the one you need to sing with in your practice. When you're rehearsing for a performance, you don't need to do that. But in your practice time, you need to do the difficult things. Otherwise, they always stay difficult. And if they're difficult, they probably seem a little scary and intimidating. But if you spend your time on the difficult things, so it's like you're walking back and forth with a friend that you don't know so well, after, a week or two of doing this, you and that friend get to know a lot more about each other, and it's more fun. You start looking forward to it. So what first did not attract you, now it's like, we've got a bond. We've spent some time together. That's what happens with the exercises. Now, to the last verse of the song. I did that, and then we got to do the last chorus. I am a pond, and I am fond of knowing there's a lot of growing going on inside my hide. I am a pond, a balanced ecosystem, much more complicated than I ever knew. And every 7 years I am completely new. So one of the things I specifically do, and that's why I wanted to do it here, is when I say new, when I'm thinking K-N-E-W, I think new. That's what I knew. But I'm using a play on the words so that the very tag at the end, I say new with a little y in it, like I'm saying Duke, like people from North Carolina pronounce the university. It's not Duke University. It's not Duke University. It's Duke. It's got a little y. That's what I'm doing, so I can delineate between much more complicated than I ever knew. And every 7 years I am completely new. It just sounds different, and I want people to get it. And that's a place where a lot of people laugh, actually. I've had, about this song, I've had a macrobiologist from Colorado State University tell me that he could certify that this was true and accurate in every part. I've had middle school teachers use it and adopt it as part of their science curriculum. And so it's a lot of information. It's a mouthful of words song, but because I spend time trying to enunciate so that the message of the song is also understood, and it's got humor built into it, it's sticky, and then people can understand it and they can sing with it. Enunciation, I think, is important to have that result. So that's why I wanted to spend time on this with you today. And I hope that you find the exercises valuable. I hope you find the listening exercise valuable as you listen to the music you like. I hope you also find your own self-taping, and if you're doing this in front of a mirror or recording, that when you go back and look at it, you look at it not with a critical eye, but with a heightened sense of awareness, so you can see and hear what's actually happening when it's outside of you. Don't be judgmental, just notice what's there. Well, if you have any other questions, please ask. If you don't ask now, you can always ask in the community of Jam Play. You can click on community, you can browse teachers, you can find me there. And send a message. And then when I log into my Jam Play, my profile, it says in my community that there's somebody sent me a message, and I can respond to it. Well, if we have no more questions, then I'm just going to say thank you for your attention today. Have fun as you do this, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Next week, we're going to talk about the tongue twisters that I gave you, and we're going to also work at moving across our break from our chest voice to our head voice. So thank you for your kind attention, and we'll see you next time.